Hey you, welcome back to my channel. I am Cammielle and I'm going to braid my hair into something I've never done before, but my little tail I make in the evenings or when I do my hair gave me the idea. So I'm going to do multiple tails on my head and see how that looks. So of course I first thought split the front into two parts because putting it in one tail all the way to the top looked a little weird to me. So trying to do the first attempt and making it nice and straight in the middle. Second attempt did alright and I went with it. Even though it's not completely in the middle, I still went with it. So I made the top section separate, and I thought to go all the way down toward the back and put it into two parts so that I could split it in half in the back so I can make my tail. But this was trial and error. I didn't really know what I was doing, so I thought to just go just below mid area of the ear and go backwards to the little middle part I made and do so with the other side as well. And while I was doing that, I always brush it through and go with it. So once that was done, I brought out my Curls Blueberry Bliss Twist and Braid Cream and I applied it a little thick amount fingertip wise and brushed it through, did my little thing, made sure all the tangles was out, and then I did what I usually do when I make my tail, which is just go straight through from the bottom with my hand or thumb, depending on my preference, and braiding that little tiny section as I am now, and then setting aside the other, get a nice bit more of the cream just so it's nice and hydrated as well as slippery to allow myself to braid. So once I've done that, of course, brush it through again and do my little finger twist, and that's my first tail. And then I would do it again with another layer, add a little bit more because it's a bigger section, and do the same thing as well with the continuation of braiding upwards and away from the head because I thought that's normally what I do, so continue the whole process of how I would do it if that was my tail. And I did that with the next layer, which was a bit more thinner than the previous one, and the whole shebang with the last part, which was thicker than all the others. And I didn't want to split that one in half and make two small ones, so I stuck with a thick one. So then I'm going to do one half of my side of my hair with what I've been doing, add the cream, brush it out, and then I'm making a little part with my finger just above the little peak of my ear, and then splitting that into two parts. So there's a smaller section and a bigger section, and the smaller section is what I'm doing right now, adding a little bit more cream toward the root area and throughout the rest of the hair, but not so close to the roots because I normally got that the first time. So of course the trial and error with braiding long hair is while you're braiding, you're also braiding the end of the roots, the ends, because sometimes while you're braiding you're not separating the strands with every braid you're making because you want to get through it quickly, like I have wanted to get through it quickly. So there's always a time where you have to detangle a bit of the section. So now those two braids are done, I am now going to do a fingertip width apart and then bring the pick downwards, so each section is half an inch or an inch, and then braid it, and always brush it backwards and braid backwards before I bring it to the side and braid a little bit more. And my reason to braiding it the way it's been braided and then finger coil is that I want it to be long enough, like clavicle long enough or below the chin area, midsection of the neck, and braid it, so that once that's done, it will then kind of blend into the finger coil. So once my hands and arms are tired from lifting so far above my head and away from it when braiding, I bring it to the side and measure the distance or the length from it being below my chin and near my clavicle, because that's what I've been judging it off of, instead of just braiding it to the notion that, oh, I'm done braiding, so then I'm going to finger coil. I found a little mark of how far I want to braid it before I finger coil. So of course going to braid it backwards as long as I can before I feel like, okay, I braided too much. And of course you see that I braided a bit of the rest of the hair, so I gotta detangle that before I continue braiding it further, and then brushing it through, adding more cream just in case my hair at the ends are dry. So I continue this process of braiding and braiding backwards, but the only thing I was lucky enough is that I'm braiding it in the same exact area I've been doing it, so it's a direct diagonal backwards, and most of the hair braids are in the same position they were once in, because I am braiding backwards and in the same position of braiding. So that was lucky. I did not take a note of that, but I did notice it once I was finished, so that was perfect. And probably the reason why it's like that is because I was trying to be constant with the braiding it backwards before bringing it to the side and braiding it downwards until I am finished braiding and wanted to finger coil. So yeah. And I also didn't want to use rubber bands because I don't know where they are at the moment, or at that moment. So, okay, I know that when I finger coil, or when I have enough product in my hair to finger coil, I notice that I don't need a rubber band when doing so. So, I'm almost done. We're coming to the front, and this will be my second to last braid. And I want the little last braid to be braided differently. So this is the last braiding I will be doing backwards and then to the side. And of course, I'm having some trouble braiding my hair. It happens. So once I'm doing that and I add a little bit more to my desired, and I want to also make this one a little bit longer, I'm also taking note that each hair section is longer or thicker or smaller than the rest. And I try to take note, making sure that it's all even, and in some way I'm recognizing it. So the front part, I'm splitting it into 3 parts, of course, and I want this braid to be toward the side, not backwards or forwards. I want it to the side so that when I do hairstyles, it will be an accessory in the front and not braided in a different direction, and you have a little kink in the front from the way it was braided. There won't be, like, I don't know how to say, like, it's not meant to be like that. Like, it's not meant to be to the side. It's supposed to be backwards. So I wanted it to be to the side and stay on the side while the rest of the braids are going backwards. So of course I'm going to do that to the other side. So all done. Took a little bit less time, but I was also watching videos, and I also take note to try to make sure I was splitting the hair the same way I did it on my first side I did on video, just because I wanted it to be even and not crooked. So that was a trial and error. So right now I am just adding a little bit more of that cream just in case while it was braiding it got dried and it rubbed onto my shirt. And I'm going to do that to all the sections and apply it to the braids as well as the root area, as you saw. And then on the back, I'm just going to add the cream to the ends and not the whole entire hair braid because I added a lot. What I thought I added a lot. So yeah, that is it. I like it. I got 2 antennas in the front and I got braids in the back, and it's easy. So like and subscribe and embrace joy. So here I am, tired, trying to braid this, brush my hair, play with my hair, check it out. I'm happy with it. And of course, there's always going to be some bumps in the road. You're tired, exhausted, not liking how things are going, but you're working with it and judging on how straight I want the pic to be, getting all hot and sweaty because of the hair is touching me, getting in my eyes, and all that jazz. So bye.